It's really interesting that you talk about the air and the ability to cool the plane. So you essentially are describing a situation where it is so hot on the ground that the planes need more thrust to get off the ground. So certain runways, certain planes may not be able to get off the ground. But in the meantime, they need to be able to get off the ground in order to kickstart the AC. It's,
Exactly.
oh
Exactly.
my goodness. And
It's
what's
not,
really interesting is as a traveler, I always know to look out for rainstorms and thunderstorms. You know, if I have any control over my schedule, I look at the long range forecast or as long as is
Mhm.
available when I'm booking and I try to plan around that. But what you're saying is effectively that travelers should be looking at temperatures too as they're considering their travel.
Well, all air. I mean, there's a tip that I give everybody, and people don't like it, but all year long, but especially in very hot weather, in thunderstorm weather, hurricane season, in the winter when you're flying, for your ski vacation, take the first flight. If you can possibly get on the very first flight, take the first flight at if it's 5:30 in the morning or 6 in the morning, get on that flight because the problems just get worse as the day goes on. And that's because of the way the airlines use their planes. They don't just, let's say you have a situation where one plane is flying from Miami to Charlotte, and then it's going to go from Charlotte to Chicago, and then it's going to go from Chicago to Dallas, all in the same day. Let's say the first flight gets off fine, and that second flight is delayed. Well, guess what? The third flight's delayed, and the fourth flight's delayed. So the longer you wait in the day, the more chance you have of that domino effect bumping into your flight. And that is particularly true in places. The expert that I spoke to, Dr. Bob Thomas at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona, he was saying, he's in Florida and they have thunderstorms in the summer every afternoon. So I mean, just the odds of you running into trouble in flying in the afternoon out of Florida is higher than if you flew out in the morning. So that's one tip I always give, just that if you're worried about delays, if you really need to get somewhere, don't take an afternoon flight because you're kind of rolling the dice. And then, like you're smart to track the weather. There's an app I love called FlightAware, and they have a feature called Find My Plane, and that can tell you about the situation I just described. Where let's say you're supposed to be on the Chicago to Dallas flight, you can see, that flight made it to Charlotte and then was delayed. So ahead of time that there's a problem. You might be able to get on a different flight, change your plans. You can kind of have a little bit of a crystal ball that you can anticipate that there's trouble ahead, and maybe sort yourself out before it even gets to you.
Let's say that one more time. Is that Find My Flight or Flight Aware or both?
The app is called Flight Aware, but the feature is called Find My Flight. And you basically plug in your details of your flight number, and it will just tell you where the plane is, right? It basically finds the plane. And that's kind of more important, right? Like, so even before the airline will alert you that the flight is going to be delayed, you can see on this app that there's a good chance that it's not going to get there on time. And I mean, hopefully you can make some adjustment to your plans.